three, so you can do like the end, like doubles, the end, and then blocking stuff, and then cover it in the middle, drill all the holes to start getting the joints in, and then someone else can come through if you're not there on Thursday and just start.
So behind me the boys are setting out for a 203 square metre slab. It's going to be 2 side-by-side units. So going forward we're going to call this the Townhouse job. The owner, who was based up in Auckland, contacted me. At that stage she already had resource consent and building consent for a rear lot subdivision. There was a duplex house on the front that was split down the middle. What we're going to do is create a driveway on either side of that to a duplex house at the back. We were going to turn 2 lots into 4 lots. So another unique thing with this was the first time I've built for an out-of-town client. So she was based in Auckland and we did a lot of the initial meetings through COVID. I met her before lockdown. The other thing about that, so like the whole country was in lockdown, but then Auckland got stuck in level 3 lockdown a couple more times, whereas down here in Wellington we went to level 2 and then we were sweet. I charged on and took ownership of the site for my client while she was stuck in Auckland. I'm Josh, a builder here in New Zealand. I am building a number of homes across the Hutt Valley area. The 99 Townhouse project was the first project I launched into after lockdown last year. You can kind of almost guess which sites are going to need piles and which sites aren't, but it still varies a lot. So here in Upper Hutt, we're in a basin and there's a river over there and the hills over there. And over there you might have to drive piles to 2 meters, but then as you come in, you can start getting away with just a rib rough slab designed for a lower ground pressure. What I've learned is it's about where you're building, what you're building, and who's doing the engineering. I like to point out to people that, hey, we can give you a pretty good understanding of costs based on everything from the surface up. But if you want to know about what's happening from the surface down, the best way to do that is to get an engineer to do a soil test. They'll bring on site a pentometer and they'll do a number of blows and they'll write you a report telling you exactly where good ground is. And if you're worried about buying a site that may have been in a previous swamp, that should be something you're doing. Before building on the section nobody wanted, a large majority of my homes were in new subdivisions and they're real easy to build in because it's all new houses, it's brand new roads, there's not really any people living there. Building homes is intense, and what I've learned with the subdivision type work, when you're doing that in an existing neighborhood with tenants in the front and a tight driveway here and neighbors on all 4 sides, you've got to be mindful of all of those things and you've got to allow extra time to slow down. This house in particular, the 99 house, we actually had to rip out 20 meters of fencing so that we could get the concrete pump and the concrete trucks and the weatherboard delivery and the jib delivery up the driveway. We drove 72 150mm SED timber piles to a depth of about 3 meters. So the ground was up here, but good ground was down here, and we had to get the piles, transfer the load of the foundation all the way down to good ground. As a side note, good ground is defined in NZ 3604 as having a load bearing capacity of 300 kPa. This was one of those jobs where no matter how much you plan, it just doesn't seem to go to plan. So we'd ripped out the fence, we'd laid base course the whole way down so we didn't wreck the neighbour's drive. And so we get to concrete pour and we think, great, we're on track. The first wheel of the first concrete truck runs over the neighbour's water main. Now the neighbour's water main wouldn't have been in the way if we hadn't taken down the fence, but we had to take down the fence to get the concrete pump in. First wheel of the truck rolled straight over the neighbour's water main and boof, it's like burst. Fortunately, it burst on the private side of the Toby and we could get our plumber down and fix it straight away. This actually needed to be repaired 3 times over the course of the project, and it didn't stop there. So we were halfway through the concrete pour and the concrete pump breaks down. And here's a photo of the guys literally running a hose over the engine of the concrete pump to try and cool it down and get it started again. It didn't work, pretty much. There's a picture of what went wrong. This bearing, this one little piece of, I think it's plastic, was the thing that held us all up. Fortunately, the guys had a backup track. They got it in within time. We got the trucks back up the drive. We got the pour back on track. From there, the biggest challenge of the site was just dealing with the logistics of building 2 new houses behind 2 existing houses where people were living in. I think this definitely would have been an overwhelming project for our client who was based in Auckland if she didn't have someone on the ground like us controlling those things. And that's why I like to get involved in a project early on. I go around and I get the neighbors' phone numbers and I give them a text in the morning to say, hey, just a heads up, concrete trucks are coming today. And we let them know that all our guys are friendly and approachable. And if you need something moved or you're in the way or you're annoyed, just come and let us know. Like, we understand that you've got your life to live, and so our job is to make this disruptive process as easy as possible for you. This is the second house where I managed to put a time-lapse camera up right at the start. The one thing I've learned about this is you've got to move them around a lot. So yeah, we've started investing in more of these Brno cameras, and this was the site where we, starting to be purposeful about putting it up on a pole, capturing a mint shot of the site. I've moved it around the site a couple of times. We use Town & Country to do the piling, and they're awesome guys. And they're all at different heights because some spots go deeper than others. But they continue to drive them until they get a number of blows with minimal movement. So there's all the piles, and then the guys will come through and they trim them to height. All of them get trimmed to the base of the slab, and sand. Sand will get put up into that height there. We marked it out on the 22nd of June, and then the pile driving was on the 24th of June, 2 days later. Then the boys came in and trimmed them to height around the 30th of June, and then on the 3rd of July, we came back and we built up the base course and the sand. Then on the 7th of July, the plumber did the sub drains, and then we had concrete pour on the 22nd of July. You can see all my concrete trucks. I had 3 concrete trucks lined up down the street. And at 5:36 that night, we have a completed, finished slab. Long day. It's Tuesday morning here on site, and we have got the roofers here about to put on the roof. One of those big milestones on a build. We made some real good progress on site, and by the 5th of August, we already had the roof trusses up. And then the roofers were in on the 18th of August. So in a very short period of time, we go slab down, frames up, roof trusses, roof on, weatherboard and windows, and that all happens in like a 6 to 8 week window, and it happens really fast. You're like, wow, this is like motoring along. What you don't realize is that there's been months of planning beforehand and lots of things leading up to that. And if we're using pre-nail frames, and then we get a roofing crew in, and we get the windows measured early, and we lock all those things in, we can go bang, 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 bang. And then it starts to really slow down. Once we start working on the inside stuff, you kind of have to do everything one at a time. Then we started jibbing at the end of September. There's not many photos of the inside. Then inside we do pre-wire, pre-plumb, jib, plaster, finishing trim, interior doors, painter. Then the builder comes back and we do the door handles. Then we start doing things like hard flooring. We had hard flooring down around the 10th of November. Then we do the kitchen cabinets, and we install the bathroom fittings like showers, toilets. The Sparky comes back and we put all the light switches in, and the lights and plugs, all that stuff. The heat pump guy puts the heat pump in, and then the inside's relatively done. On this job in particular, turning 2 lots into 4 lots, you now have to provide a landscaping plan for every single lot. At the last minute, this job got added to our contract. So we took this on as an extra for the owner, and we started that in pretty much in December. And then that took us through the Christmas period. You always lose a bit of time over Christmas period, about 3 weeks. And we were gunning for an end of January completion with all of landscaping and everything completed. And we did everything including like planting, mulch, grass, patios, deck steps, fences, heat pump pads, driveway, the whole 9 yards outside. So it was a completed product. So you go July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, 7 months to go from slab down to landscape complete. And we're bearing in mind there's Christmas in there, and there was a few little hold-ups as well, which is normal. Like people say, oh yeah, you can do that in 5 months, and you can, but it's all those extra things. Like the landscaping was literally like 4 to 6 weeks of juggling and managing and all that, and then you got to do concrete driveway. And you can't do the concrete driveway too early because everyone wrecks it, but you also can't do it the day before people need to move in. So it's finding those sweet spots for all those jobs. You then kind of have a bit of a mad dash at the end, because whether it's a rental or a owner-occupier house, most likely they've been paying interest on this house and they want to know, when can I collect it and start putting a tenant in there or move in there, because I want that to be my home. And so you kind of have this mad dash at the end where everything just comes together. And then, you know, these last couple of weeks, you've got all these people in there on top of each other, and then you're all doing your bit, and then we go around and we work out if anything needs touch-ups or fixing, and then we do a walkthrough with the client and we sign it off, and then boof, it's someone else's home. So on this job, we got a really cool reference from the client. Such a legend, thank you, Josh. I'm so glad to have secured your services for this project. You have been amazing. Totally exceeded my expectations. I just need to find a new site so we can work together soon. Well, Jenny, we really appreciated the work, and we really enjoyed working on this project with you too. Thanks so much. This is where I do the outro. Here's 30 seconds of amazingness.